Welcome, brave souls, to Midnight Whispers. Traverse this realm at your own peril. For within these tales lurk horrors most foul. Tonight's tale may twist the very fabric of your sanity. And a word to the wise, this narrative paints pictures of terror not meant for every eye or ear. Venture ahead if you dare, but remember, you have been warned.
The call of the unknown always held a special allure for me, which is how I found myself standing at the gates of the long-abandoned Ashwood Asylum with my friend Alex. This forsaken place, perched atop a secluded hill, was shrouded in stories of haunting and unexplained mysteries. Its dilapidated structure, with broken windows and walls stripped of paint, bore the scars of a turbulent past. Alex broke the silence, his voice a mixture of excitement and nervous energy. "Can you believe we're actually doing this?" With a deep breath, I replied, "It's now or never." The thrill of exploration was tinged with an unmistakable sense of foreboding. We approached the main entrance, a heavy wooden door that hung off its hinges, creaking as we pushed it open. Inside, the asylum greeted us with a heavy air of decay. The lobby was vast and littered with debris from years of neglect. Dust lay thick on every surface, and the faded remnants of old posters clung to the walls. "This is eerie," I muttered, shining my flashlight across the room. Its beam cut through the darkness, revealing more of the asylum's forsaken state. Alex, with a nervous chuckle, said, "Let's head to the patient wards. That's where the real stories are." As we ventured deeper into the building, I couldn't help but feel like we were not alone. The silence of the asylum was heavy, almost suffocating. Our footsteps echoed through the halls, and I had the unsettling feeling that someone, or something, was watching us from the shadows. The corridors of Ashwood Asylum stretched before us like a labyrinth, each turn revealing more of the building's decaying grandeur. Graffiti marred the walls, and broken glass crunched under our feet. The deeper we ventured, the more I felt the oppressive weight of the building's tragic history. "I heard the basement was where they kept the really troubled patients," Alex whispered, his voice echoing slightly in the vast hallway. I hesitated, my instincts screaming that going further down was a bad idea. "Are you sure we should do this?" I asked, my voice barely hiding my unease. "It's the most unexplored part," Alex said, his curiosity overshadowing his fear. "If we're going to find anything, it's there." We found the staircase leading to the basement. The steps were worn, each creak under our weight sounding like a groan from the depths below. As we descended, the air grew colder, and the darkness seemed to thicken around us. The basement was a maze of corridors and small rooms. Doors hung off their hinges, and some were sealed shut, their secrets untold. The air was stale, and every sound seemed amplified in the quiet. "This place gives me the creeps," Alex said, shining his flashlight into an old room filled with decaying medical equipment. I nodded, feeling a chill that wasn't just from the cold air. I thought I heard a faint scuffling sound, like someone or something moving in the shadows. "Did you hear that?" I asked, stopping in my tracks. Alex paused, listening. "Yeah, it sounded like footsteps." We stood still, straining our ears. The sound came again, closer this time, a soft but deliberate shuffling. We weren't alone. "Maybe we should head back," I suggested. But even as I said it, I knew retreat wasn't an option. We had come too far, driven by our quest for the unknown. Instead, we pressed on, each step forward accompanied by the unsettling feeling of being watched, stalked by something that remained just out of sight. With each step deeper into the basement, the atmosphere grew heavier, and the sense of being followed intensified. The shuffling sounds continued, sometimes pausing, then starting up again, as if whatever was making them was playing a game of cat and mouse with us. "This is getting too weird," Alex said, his voice low. "Let's stick together and keep moving." We cautiously navigated through the maze-like basement, our flashlights sweeping over the damp walls and the clutter of forgotten asylum relics. The sense of someone watching us never waned. It felt as if eyes were peering at us from every dark corner. Suddenly, a door slammed shut in the distance, the sound echoing through the hallways. We both jumped, hearts racing. "That's not just the wind," I said, a knot of fear growing in my stomach. "No, it's not," Alex agreed, his usual bravado fading. "Someone else is here with us." We quickened our pace, eager to find another staircase or an exit. The basement seemed endless, a network of corridors and rooms that twisted and turned back on themselves. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I caught a glimpse of movement, a shadow slipping away down a corridor. It was too solid, too purposeful to be a trick of the light. "Alex, did you see that?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "Yeah," he replied, gripping his flashlight like a lifeline. "We're not alone." We moved faster, our footsteps echoing loudly. The shuffling sound was joined by a low, guttural chuckling, sending chills down my spine. It felt as if we were being herded, driven deeper into the bowels of the asylum by our unseen pursuer. Finally, we spotted a sign for an exit, a dim light at the end of a long hallway. We raced towards it, only to find the door at the end firmly locked. Desperation set in as we tugged at the handle, but it wouldn't budge. "We need to find another way out," Alex said, trying to keep his voice steady. As we turned to find an alternative route, the chuckling grew louder, closer. It was clear now that we were not just exploring the asylum. We were being hunted within its walls. Trapped and desperate, we doubled back, frantically searching for another way out. The laughter echoed in the dark corridors, a haunting reminder of our peril. We turned a corner and stumbled upon a room unlike any other we had seen in the asylum. It was a lair filled with relics from the building's grim past. The room was cramped, the air thick with the musty smell of decay. Newspaper clippings and old photographs were plastered on the walls, depicting the asylum in its operational days. Among these were more disturbing items: dolls with missing eyes, medical tools rusted with age, and stacks of tattered journals. "This is someone's hideout," Alex whispered, his eyes wide with horror. A quick scan of the room revealed more about our pursuer. The journals were filled with ramblings and sketches, telling the story of a patient who had never left Ashwood Asylum. The writing spoke of abandonment, delusions, and a growing resentment towards the outside world. As we sifted through the chilling collection, we heard the shuffling and chuckling drawing nearer. Our intruder was coming back to their lair. "We need to hide now," I hissed, pulling Alex into a small alcove just as the door creaked open. Peering out, we saw our pursuer for the first time. A gaunt figure, clad in tattered hospital garments, their movements jerky and unpredictable. Their face was obscured by shadows, but we could feel their intense gaze sweeping the room. The figure began to speak, their voice a twisted symphony of pain and anger. "Visitors, trespassers, they all leave. They always leave." Their words were punctuated by a disturbing laugh, a sound that spoke of deep-seated insanity and sorrow. We remained as still as possible, holding our breaths, praying not to be discovered. After a few tense moments, the figure shuffled away, their mutterings fading into the distance. Once we were sure they were gone, we emerged from our hiding spot. The reality of our situation was clear. We were dealing with a deeply disturbed individual, a remnant of the asylum's tragic past, who saw us as invaders in their twisted sanctuary. "We can't stay here," I said, my voice shaking. "We need to find a way out before they come back." Nodding in agreement, Alex and I cautiously left the lair, determined to escape the clutches of the asylum and its lingering, tormented soul. Our escape from the lair was fraught with tension. Each creak of the floor, each rustle of our clothing seemed amplified in the suffocating silence of the asylum. We moved as quietly as possible, acutely aware that the deranged resident could be lurking in any shadow. "We need to find an exit, any exit," Alex whispered, his eyes scanning the dark corridors. We made our way through the maze of hallways, avoiding the main paths where we could be easily seen. The asylum seemed to have taken on a life of its own, its once sterile walls now closing in on us like the jaws of a trap. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed through the halls. We froze, hearts pounding. It was followed by a series of thuds, like someone or something was throwing objects in a fit of rage. The patient, our hunter, had discovered our escape from their lair. "This way," I hissed, pulling Alex towards a narrow service corridor. It was a tight squeeze, but it offered more cover and a chance to evade our pursuer. As we navigated the corridor, the sounds of the patient's tantrum grew fainter, but we knew it was only a matter of time before they started their search again. We needed to be quick and smart about our movements. Then, up ahead, we saw it. A glimmer of moonlight filtering through a small window high up on the wall. It was a way out, but it was small, and we would need to climb. "We can do this," Alex said, reading my thoughts. We stacked some old chairs and crates, creating a makeshift ladder. Climbing with all our might, we reached the window and, with great effort, managed to pry it open. One by one, we squeezed through the narrow opening, emerging into the cold night air. We were outside, free from the suffocating grip of Ashwood Asylum. The ground was a welcome relief as we dropped down, panting and exhausted. Looking back at the looming structure, its windows dark and foreboding, I couldn't help but feel a pang of sorrow for the lost soul trapped within its walls. Their reality, twisted by years of isolation and torment, had made them something other than human. "We need to get help," I said, a mix of relief and urgency in my voice. "No one should be left in a place like that." The trek back to civilization seemed surreal, as if we were emerging from a nightmare into the calm of reality. As soon as we reached an area with cell reception, we called the police, our voices trembling as we recounted the harrowing events at Ashwood Asylum. Within an hour, police cars and an ambulance were winding their way up the hill to the asylum. Alex and I watched from a safe distance, the flashing lights casting eerie shadows on the asylum's facade. The officers were skeptical of our story, their expressions a mix of incredulity and annoyance. They insisted it was likely just our imaginations running wild in an old, creepy building. But we knew what we had experienced, the fear and the very real sense of danger. After a thorough search, the police emerged with a startling discovery. In a hidden room deep within the asylum, they found the mummified remains of what appeared to be the last resident of Ashwood Asylum. The body had been there for nearly 2 decades, undisturbed in its final resting place. The revelation sent a chill down my spine. The person we had feared, the one who had chased us, had been dead all along. But then, who or what had been following us through the dark corridors of the asylum? The officers dismissed our claims of being chased as a figment of our imagination, exacerbated by the creepy surroundings and our own fears. But Alex and I exchanged looks, knowing that what we experienced was far from imaginary. As we left the scene, the ambulance carrying away the last tragic remnant of the asylum, I couldn't help but feel a deep sense of melancholy. The asylum had kept its last secret well hidden, a lonely soul forgotten by time. The experience at Ashwood Asylum lingered in our minds long after that night. We had sought adventure and encountered a mystery that would never be fully explained. The police might not have believed us, but we knew the truth. Whatever we had encountered in those dark halls was real, a presence as tangible as the fear that had gripped us.
And so, another tale from the depths of night concludes. But remember, dear listeners, in the realm of midnight whispers, the echoes of our stories never truly fade. If tonight's tale left you hungering for more, explore our anthology of horrors. For those brave enough, delve into our previous stories and discover what lurks in the shadows. Before you venture back into the safety of daylight, remember to like this video if it sent shivers down your spine. Subscribe and ring the bell, so the whispers of the midnight hour always find their way to you. And should you dare, leave your thoughts and feelings in the comments below. We revel in knowing which parts of our tales resonate with your darkest curiosities. Until next time, keep listening to the whispers, for they have many tales to